I'm back with film director Joe Dante. Joe, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Joe has programmed tonight's double feature. We just saw The Night of the Hunter from 1955. The film that you have next, The Fool Killer from 1965, when this was relayed to me, I thought it was a precursor to The Night of the Hunter. But this is a movie that was clearly 10 years later massively influenced by The Night of the Hunter. Most people watching on TCM, this is one I'm certain of, have neither seen nor heard of The Fool Killer. What is the Fool Killer?
It's one of those movies that I sort of get behind because I found it as a film programmer at the Philadelphia College of Art, and I had a 16 millimeter print of it. This was a movie that was made by Eli Landau, who was a very high-class producer who did the American Film Theater and a lot of classy movies. And this was one of a series of films that he made in the early 60s. This was shot in Knoxville, Tennessee in 1963. It stars Anthony Perkins and Edward Albert, Eddie Albert's son, who went on to have quite a career, but he's 12 years old in this movie.
He's a terrific child
and
actor.
He's really great. It's the first thing he ever did. And a lot of terrific actors like Henry Hull and Salome Jens and a guy named Arnold Moss, who plays this reverend who's terrifying. And it's just one of those movies that fell through the cracks. I once encountered Eli Landau at a function of some sort, and I went up to him and I asked him about The Fool Killer, and he said, "Oh, The Fool Killer." Oh, which led me to believe that there had been some source involved in the making of the movie, and certainly in the distribution of the movie. It never came out anywhere that I could find except a screening in Knoxville in 1965, which was several years after it was actually
where
shot.
It was shot, as you said. Yeah. So, and who directed it?
Servando Gonzalez, who is a Mexican director who had made a film called Yanko, which was a prize winner and a sort of a magical realism movie about a child. A lovely movie, but it played art houses. Unlike The Fool Killer, which didn't play anywhere.
And Gonzalez was a successful director in Mexico.
He was, and he was still a successful director after he made this film. But any chances of him becoming a known quantity in America were fairly dashed by the fact that nobody ever saw this picture. It was released through Allied Artists. They didn't give her many bookings. Somehow it migrated to American International. They were going to change the title to A Violent Journey, but then they didn't release it either, so they sent it right to television. And that's where I found this print that I ran at the Philadelphia College of Art and announced as the Philadelphia premiere of this new movie.
That's awesome.
And I fell in love with this movie because it's so unusual. First of all, its roots are obviously in Night of the Hunter. It shares many similarities, including shots of trains coming at you with ominous music.
And shadows.
And some of the most exhilarating camera work that I had seen. There's a lot of really interesting things that Servando Gonzalez does with this movie that are just unexpected. It's a dark story. Anthony Perkins plays what probably people thought, oh, he's just doing his psycho character again, but he's not. It's more like he's playing the character that he played in Friendly Persuasion, who was a very reluctant warrior in the Civil War, and now obviously has PTSD.
Yeah, even the character he plays in Fear Strikes Out, where he plays Jimmy Pearsall, a baseball player who we now know was bipolar, but was then like the first professional athlete known to have any sort of mental issues, right? That was how it was seen. This was something Anthony Perkins was really good at.
Well, I met him once, and he was a lovely guy. And I talked about this movie, which he almost had no memory of because...
Is that right? No.
Well, because, once you make a movie and nobody sees it, and nobody talks about it, and nobody writes about it, it's sort of like it didn't happen.
Yeah, and then you move on. He's done, he's done so many things.
He had a great career.
Yeah.
But my goal in bringing this film to TCM is that I want to get people to see it. I feel like it's my mission to get people interested in movies that may have escaped their notice, and this is certainly one. I've been trying to do it for Trailers from Hell for years, and I never find a trailer. Hopefully this will galvanize it a little bit, because I think people will find that this is a pretty interesting movie that has escaped their notice.
All right, Joe, let's watch the movie. Much more to discuss afterwards. Thanks. Here's the film from 1965, a picture clearly influenced by the movie Joe picked first tonight, The Night of the Hunter. This is Anthony Perkins and Edward Albert in The Fool Killer. Back with director Joe Dante, who programmed tonight's 2-for-1 double feature. We started with The Night of the Hunter from 1955, Charles Laughton's only movie, Robert Mitchum. And this film from 10 years later clearly influenced by The Night of the Hunter, which is why Joe programmed it. So, The Fool Killer. So let's talk about the ending here to The Fool Killer, Joe, because you had a reaction to it that I think only a film director has.
Well, there are a lot of odd shots in this movie, and a lot of shots where the director said to the DP, Alex Phillips Jr., who's a great Mexican DP, can we do this? How if we do this thing? You know, and at the end of this movie, Gonzalez decided that he wanted to go underneath the railroad tracks and come back out on the other side as the train goes away to see the kid disappear into the background. And the effort it must have taken I can hear the crew grumbling now, how difficult it must have been to dig this hole, push the camera through it, and lift it up. I mean, these are heavy cameras. This is 1963, you know.
Oh, when they
shot it, yeah.
Shot it, yeah.
And it's kind of breathtaking. I mean, there's a lot of shots in the movie that just sort of, I was just bowled over by them. And I was in film school, you know, and I was thinking, this is a really interesting movie. And that's why I was particularly disappointed that nobody but me ever saw it.
This did not have much of a budget. It barely got any release. That's an expensive shot you're talking about, right?
Yeah, but I think when you're making a movie, you want it to be as good as possible. And if you have good people with you, even though they grumble about having to dig a hole, they know it's for the good of the movie. And it is a terrific ending for a movie.
You brought up the cast right away in the beginning. This is a quality cast even beyond Anthony Perkins and this really enormously talented child actor, Edward Albert, who went on to have a nice career in films and television.
Yeah, I think most of the cast is New York actors. Henry Hull, of course, had a great career and is a very colorful actor. And
he was Dirty Jim.
At his best in this movie. And Salome Jens, Angel Baby herself, who is always, I thought, a very magical presence as an actress, didn't do that much. And Arnold Moss, he is this reverend who gives this impassioned speech, which is a hellfire speech. It galvanizes the kid, and it's fairly terrifying.
And then don't you wonder, ain't they the evil one a coming for you?
You saw this movie, you were older. You were in film school at the time?
Yeah, I was in college.
But you would go, as we learned from The Night of the Hunter, at 9, you saw Night of the Hunter at 9 years old. You'd go to the theater, you'd see it at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday, right?
Yeah.
Is this every week? I mean, close to 52 weeks a year as you could make it.
I would go as often as I could. The double bill I would have done if I hadn't done these was the one that my parents called the police on because I stayed to see them twice.
Hold on, what?
World Without End and Abbott and Costello Meet the Mummy. They were so good on a Sunday that I said, I got to see them again. So I stayed and saw them again. And when I came back, I came home, my parents had called the police because they didn't know where I was. And so it was suggested that I do those two pictures. And I said, well, you know, but I'd like to do the Fool Killer. So let me do that. I'm
more pleased that you did that. But that is a great story. So you were so into these two movies.
I was transcended. Well, World Without End is a time travel movie. You know, I always liked that. And I loved Abbott and Costello. This was their last Universal picture. And it was just so much fun that it's like if I had to go back and relive a day at the movies, that's the day I would pick.
So you went, and it just didn't matter really what was showing. Like you were gonna.
No, that's not true. I didn't see grown-up movies. I didn't see Executive Suite,
right.
You know, things like that. Because
I like Executive Suite.
I would like it now, but when I was 9, it was like I was smiling time looking for quarters on the floor so I could get candy. So I mean, there were certain movies that just didn't appeal to me, but they were very canny about the way they programmed these Saturday matinees, except for the Night of the Hunter Day, because I saw a lot of great pictures. I saw Invaders from Mars. I saw This Island Earth. I saw all these great movies that were, 50s movies when I was a kid, and they were new.
Joe, thanks very much. This was great. Thanks for programming these films, especially The Fool Killer, which I'm sure was a treat for so many people. Appreciate it. Joe's work is done for the night, but the movies, of course, continue on TCM as they always do, uncut and commercial-free. So stick around.
Next on TCM, This Side of the Law. Then twice in a lifetime. And later, 1 is a lonely number. TCM keeps you company today.